Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Commissioner Shane,
Hold on, Mayor. All right, we're on now. Go ahead. Mayor, can you just start over real quick?
Okay, I call to order today's Plan Commission meeting on May 18th, 2022. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Commissioner Shane,
Yes.
Commissioner Shea,
Here.
Commissioner Flores, here, Commissioner Wright,
Here.
Commissioner Campos, Vice Chair Cooper,
Here.
Chair Ali.
Here, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from April 20th, 2022 meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion, if somebody could just repeat the commissioners' names, because I can't quite hear them.
What's the first one?
Who moved?
First by Shank, second by Tucker.
Thank you.
Thought I seconded.
Are there any corrections?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He did second.
Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Minutes are approved. First item on the agenda today is a amendment to a special use permit for a planned development with variances and final development plan for Chick-Fil-a located at 245 North Weber Road, project number 423.21. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Wright, second Flores.
Motion, Commissioner Wright, second, Commissioner Flores. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Commissioner Shane,
Yes.
Commissioner Shea,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores, yes, Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper,
Yes.
Chair Ali.
Yes, thank you. Our staff presenter today is Mr. Carlo. You have the floor.
Thank you. So the applicant tonight is Alan Wiley with GBC Design, and he's requesting an amendment to a special use permit for a planned development with variances and an approval of a final development plan in order to modify an existing drive-through aisle at 245 North Weber Road. The current zoning is B2 community retail, and it's an existing Chick-fil-A restaurant. The adjacent zoning is primarily B2. We've got B2 to the north with the Shell gas station, B2 to the south, Aspen Dental and the Landing Shopping Plaza. To the east, Verizon Center Shopping Plaza, and then to the west is going to be B4 retail with that Meyer and the Bolingbrook International Airport. The subject property comprises of about 1 acre, and as mentioned, is currently developed as a Chick-fil-A restaurant. Access into the site would be from a cross-access drive to the south, as you can see here on the presentation, and through Meyer's parking lot to the west, which is here. So, per the attached site development plan, Chick-fil-A is proposing to modify the existing drive-through aisle. As you can see here, the existing conditions are on the left, proposed is on the right. As part of the original approval, the development provided 42 parking stalls on site and also had a shared parking agreement with Meyer allowing for 20 additional parking stalls. With this redevelopment, the overall number of parking stalls would be reduced from 42 to 31. And in speaking with Chick-fil-A, these type of restaurants have seen a big shift towards more customers using those drive-through windows versus coming inside to dine. And so given that shared parking agreement with Meyer, plus the 31 stalls on site, adequate parking for the proposed use is being provided. The landscape plan, as shown here, proposes to remove about 11 of the existing trees, and the proposed plan calls for 5 new trees to be planted. The village is going to request that 60 plant units be provided within the north side yard, as you can see here, and which is going to account for those trees being moved. And then this is going to be, a combination of trees and/or large shrubs. So to develop the property in accordance with the attached site plan, the applicant is requesting the following variances from the zoning ordinance. The first being a variance to further reduce the side yard setback along the south property line, and then a variance to reduce the side yard setback along the north property line. So per the zoning ordinance, The minimum side yard setback is going to be 10 feet. And per the attached plan, the applicant is proposing a side yard setback of 1.5 feet to the southeast corner, which is here. 6.5 feet along the south property line for pavement only, which is here. And then a side yard setback reduced to 3.5 along the northeast corner, just up here for pavement only. And then 5 feet for the proposed canopy, which is going to be located here. Staff is going to support these variances as requested, provided that all the plant material be installed within the island along the south property line here, as well as in the northern side yard. Staff is going to recommend approval of an amendment to a special use permit for a planned development with variances and final development plan for Chick-Fil-A located at 245 North Weber Road with the aforementioned variances. This is going to be subject to all of staff's comments from the review dated Thursday, April 7th, 2022 being addressed, as well as the approval from the co-administrator to Public Services and Development. Just wanted to show the proposed elevations of the Chick-fil-A here. This is the eastern elevation. This is showing the canopy. Western elevation, other side of the canopy, back of the building. South side, and this is the entrance to the restaurant, and then the north side as well. And that is going to conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Corso. Do we have any questions from the commission?
Yes. So my first question is, when I look at the landscaping plan, I mean, it is a pretty significant reduction in the amount of landscaping. And one of the things that caught me as odd, and maybe it's just not clear to me, is on the north side of that property, a number of the trees shown in that landscaping plan are actually not on the site. Or is that some kind of landscaping agreement where it's part of the overall development from the past, or?
Yeah, Matt, you
No,
want to take that one?
there are, I think, 2 or 3 trees shown in the northeast corner of the site that are on Shell's property. So the 11 trees that they're removing, we are requiring that they replace them with a combination of 5 trees plus 60 plant units. So that can be either a combination of trees or large shrubs. I guess it would be fair to mention as well that the reduction that they're requesting is not the entire length of the yard. It's really just on the corners where they need to extend that pavement to make the turns possible. I'd also just like to mention, so it's on record, is that we've received a number of phone calls over the years about backing up into Myers parking lot in regards to Chick-fil-A and the success that they have, obviously, with their drive-through. So we needed to look at some solutions to potentially, obviously, keep them happy at the current location, but also keep their customers from spilling over into neighboring properties. That said, the required plant units are being provided. It's just, you're correct, and some of the trees are not on their property that are shown on that plan.
You showed the elevations of the building. They're not doing anything new to the building, right? This is all parking lot for the drive-through?
Yeah, so the only thing is going to be this canopy here. That's the big thing. So you can see this side here, and this side here. But the building, nothing, staying the same.
There will be 2 delivery systems.
It's like 2 lanes all the way through the property, I think.
Right.
Until the very end.
Yep. Yep. So it sort of filters out right here, obviously, and you've got 2 running the length of the drive-through as well.
And I think the applicant is here as well, is to maybe speak to a little bit of kind of the operation and how this has been utilized in some other locations. So if there's other questions, we can answer them, but I would like them to kind of to give their thoughts on the design.
So, I mean,
Matt, this is Mir. If I may, so from my understanding, this is going to a dual drive-through system, but still one window where the traffic will merge into the one window to collect the order. Is that accurate?
So, again, I'll lean to them on that, but from my knowledge of how they operate is actually there's people outside of the building that are kind of taking your orders and delivering to the car, so you're never actually pulling directly up to the window. So this will utilize 2 lanes so that you're not funneling down into one lane and then kind of having this pinpoint where you're backing up. So the 2 lanes will allow them to service both lanes at the same time versus one. But again, I maybe would defer to them on that explanation.
Yeah, that would be interesting to find out. I mean, are they using like a Portillo's concept with an outside order taker? Or is there an actual speaker post being put in to service the second lane?
Yeah, we're gonna have, the applicant is here, he's signing in right now, and, we'll get his testimony too. I'm gonna have to, I guess, walk you through when you're gonna swear him in here, Mayor.
Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, he's at the podium, so Alan, if you would raise your right hand. All right,
All
go
right, sir,
ahead.
please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
Yes.
All right, please sign in and proceed.
Okay, Matt did actually really good job of explaining it. They do have order takers out at the menu boards. They have iPads, and they'll walk down the car lengths and take orders as they go. And then as soon as they get to a certain number of cars, they'll go back to the order stations and kind of start that process again as the cars move up. Once they get to the pickup window, which is roughly in this area here underneath that canopy, there are painted striped areas. So this is one of them here in the middle, and then that continues the whole way down here. And then there'll be this not showing on this landscape plan, but there's a striped area across here as well so that the people can get from the pickup window with the food across into that middle,
That's all right. Tap outside. There you go.
into this middle aisle to hand the food out to that second lane. But yes, the whole point of this is to keep cars moving in the same lane, eliminating the current pinch point that's right here right now. And then out here at the end, we're only able to have one exit lane instead of having standard 2, what we normally do because of these parking spaces on Meyer. So there'll have probably a person out here directing traffic in peak times to get people coordinated and getting out of here, and then pulling obviously this way or going out that way. They are doing this all over the country. It's their new standard. All new stores have this layout initially, and then we're going back through stores like this that have the ability to add the 2 lanes around and add, adding the 2 lanes around and the canopies to help make the food ordering easier and the food delivery easier.
And they do back up into that parking lot, and they back across the entrance off of Weber Road.
Yeah, and now we're taking a queue that starts here and is 2 cars to this point, and we're extending it 2 cars the whole way down here now. So we're really taking any cars that could be back in this area and putting them on the Chick-fil-A site.
The 51 parking lot designated, is that clearly delineated that this is for Chick?
I think it's just it's a shared. I don't think there is actual delineated spaces.
Going from 62 to 51, right?
Right, and there are some shared parking spaces over here. I don't think there's actual delineated spaces in the agreement. I think it's just wherever.
Is your lot filling up right now?
I don't believe so. I was out there and there was maybe five, 6 cars in there. There wasn't very many when I was out there, and that was at 5:30. We're still seeing a lot of people going through the drive-through and not a ton of people going inside the building yet. And Chick-fil-A, I believe, is thinking that's going to continue that trend, that it's never going to get back to where it was. They're actually taking seats out of restaurants as well and getting rid of play areas in some areas. Not this one right now. They're not doing anything inside the building or with the building.
Very good. This is Chairman Ali. Quick question. Definitely these 2 lanes will help. with the traffic and the line that, you know, we're so used to seeing. However, what's the strategy for collecting orders? And you said that there will be a person at the exit, since it kind of funnels into one lane. And that turn is a pretty busy turn. With the parking spots there and the cars trying to exit off of Mountain Road, that's a pretty busy turn. So during peak periods, you're gonna have a person there directing traffic. And what happens to the orders, because I'm not sure what your speed of service metrics are, if a car is in front and the ones behind them have the order ready, will they still be waiting for that order, and how will you address that?
Yeah, so the first thing with the cars exiting, you know, we're kind of dealing with that same issue right now out here. And with the two lanes into one, they would have somebody out there during peak times to help alleviate traffic congestion in that area and get people out of the drive-through. Obviously, if no one's able to exit, no one's able to move in the whole drive-through, it could plug it all up. So that's gonna be an operations thing, and they'll probably feel that out as once the project's completed and they start running the operation, they'll figure out what they need to do in order to make it work the best possible way. The orders, as I mentioned, they'll have somebody out there with iPads taking the orders. The whole goal is to make everything efficient. The placement of the order stations is relative to the kitchen and how fast they can produce. I keep talking to the board, I'm sorry. How fast they can produce that food and then get it to the customers. If someone, let's say this starts backing up here and someone is here waiting for an order, they will either move them up so that they're no longer blocking and then hold somebody back here so that that car can escape around this car here, or they will send them back through. If it's really bad, they'll send them back into the parking lot and then they'll have to deliver the food over here.
So at the end of the drive-through, you mentioned that there are how many spots to wait for an order?
There's one or two, it looks like, just eyeballing it, past that pickup window. And then there's probably another 2 car lengths before you get to the actual exit of the drive-through. And
then,
that's in one lane.
I guess, having 2 young boys, I've been through this drive-through a few times. I believe those stalls that are just to the west of where you would exit the drive-through are like for the VIP pickup. Is that correct? I know that the manager's here as well, but I believe those spaces directly west of that are supposed to be utilized by Chick-fil-A, kind of like, if your order's really large, hey, please pull up and park in designated spot 1, 2, 3, or whatever it might be. So I think that's kind of how they deal with that, Mayor.
Very good, that answers my next question. Thank you, Mr. Eastman, and thank you. Any further questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, do we have any questions from the audience? Hearing none, we have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second?
Mr. Shea, second Commissioner Wright. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker? Commissioner Shank?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes, thank you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact for PC 22.07, approval of an amendment to a special use permit as a planned development with variances, project number 423.21. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve project number 423.21 for Chick-Fil-A, 245 North Weber Road, amendment to a special use permit for a planned development with variances and final development plan.
So
So
moved.
moved, Commissioner Wright.
Second.
Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Shea.
And second,
Commissioner Shea.
roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker? Commissioner Shank?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations, Chick-fil-A. Looking forward to meeting that drive-through. Next item on the agenda is a continuance from April 20th, 2022, which is a rezoning from ER to R3 and special use permit for a planned development with variances, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat of subdivisions for the Sawgrass Towns, 11349 South Neighbor Plainfield Road, project number 400.22. May I have a motion to open this public hearing?
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner.
Flores and Commissioner Shank.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker,
Here.
Commissioner Shank,
Yes.
Commissioner Shea,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores, yes, Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper,
Yes.
Chair Ali.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Eastman, you have the floor.
Thank you. The applicant is here before you tonight in order to request approval of a rezoning from ER to R3 and a special use permit for a planned development with variances, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat of subdivision. This is in order to rezone the subject property from ER to R3 and to allow for the construction of a mixed-use development featuring a combination of single-family homes and townhomes with associated variances. The location that you'll have before you tonight. It's currently at 11349 South Napier Plainfield Road. This is unincorporated Will County. The property currently sits right about there. There's a home there. The subject property comprises approximately 46.65 acres, and it's currently located with unincorporated Will County and is vacant farmland that does have the house on it as well. The applicant is seeking approval of a rezoning from ER to R3, which is part of a petition to annex. Whenever property is annexed into the village, it is initially classified as ER, estate residence, necessitating a rezoning to a more appropriate zone. In this instance, the appropriate classification we feel is R3 single family, since most of the surrounding properties are so zoned. Primary access to all the lots will be provided off of Essington Road, which would be realigned as part of the proposed development, with an additional access point being provided off of Bentgrass Way and a stub street, which would be provided for future access to the vacant parcel to the south. The applicant is proposing to install additional landscape material, architectural features, including monument signs, identifying the overall subdivision near each entrance. Just to kind of highlight on what I talked about there, Essington Road currently runs north and south all the way to Hassard Boulevard. Our long-term plans have always been to eventually, either when this property developed or this property developed, is to work with the developer to realign Essington Road to kind of tee up with Napier Plainfield Road. We'll get into a little bit more of that later, but I just wanted you to have a visual of kind of where Essington Road would go. This is the current Sawgrass subdivision that is under construction. So back in April of 2021, the Village Board of Trustees approved a special use for a planned development to allow for the single-family living community commonly known as Sawgrass, consisting of 216 single-family lots, a central park, and 2 large water features along Hassard. The development is currently under construction, and there's representatives from Pulte here today that could maybe talk a little bit later on about the success of that development so far. Per the attached site plan that you have before you, the applicant is proposing to construct a mixed-use development which would feature 51 single-family homes along with 142 townhomes commonly known as Sawgrass Towns. This would also feature 2 large water features along Napier Plainfield Road. Let me see if I can go back. The attached preliminary plat of subdivision would create 51 single-family lots, 27 buildings with a total of 142 townhomes, along with 10 outlots consisting of landscaping, open space, and stormwater retention. At this time, staff is currently working with the applicant to finalize the size and location of the public utility and drainage easements. Newly dedicated easements for all utilities would be included prior to the recording of the plat. The proposed subdivision would include a public right-of-way for the provision of streets, as well as a right-of-way dedication for Napier Plainfield Road and the future expansion/realignment of Essington Road. As part of the proposed realignment, which would reroute Essington Road to Napier Plainfield Road, the northern portion of Essington Road would be vacated. All streets within the subdivision would be owned and maintained by the Village of Bolingbrook. The applicant is proposing a 50-foot wide landscaped outlot along the east side of Napier Plainfield Road, which would consist of an undulating berm, 4 feet in height, perimeter landscape material, and an irrigation system. The required berm, perimeter landscape material, and irrigation system along Essington Road would be provided as required. A homeowners association would govern the overall Sawgrass Towns subdivision, which would be responsible for the maintenance of all the entry signs and all common open space areas, which would include the outlots, landscaping, detention areas, etc. Per the agreement between Bolingbrook Park District and Pulte, the applicant has agreed to pay a cash in lieu of a land contribution for the proposed development. It's also fair to note that as part of Phase 1 of Sawgrass, they are donating a large portion of land, which is a large central park in Sawgrass. So we feel that this phase will be able to utilize a lot of those park features. It's within walking distance. Indian Prairie School District number 204 did provide a letter to staff in support of this next phase of Sawgrass, commonly known as Sawgrass Towns. When evaluating residential development projects, the district considers the estimated number of children to be generated by the project, the capacity of the current schools which would serve this development, and the balance between estimated revenues generated versus the cost to educate the students generated from the development. After careful evaluation, the district has determined the students generated from the proposed development could be accommodated. Per the attached preliminary plat, the single-family lot sizes would range from 7,500 square feet to 12,755 square feet. Per the applicant, they would offer 4 models within the single-family portion, just as they are in the Sawgrass. So it's going to be the Meadows series that they're offering with these 51 new lots. The Meadows models would range approximately from 2,300 square feet to 3,800 square feet, depending upon the model and options the buyer purchases, and to be consistent with the models that the applicant is currently providing in the existing Sawgrass. The Sawgrass Towns would offer 2 unique models. The models would range from 1,895 square feet to 2,511 square feet. All models within the Meadows series, as well as the Sawgrass Towns, would have a 2-car garage. The average sales for the proposed single-family homes are forecasted to range between $520,000 to $570,000, while the projected sales price of the townhomes would be approximately $425,000, depending upon which model and upgrades they select. Again, I'll let Pulte, when they give their presentation, I think those numbers have gone up quite a bit, and that's a good thing, but it just goes to the success of that current development. To develop the property in accordance with the R3 zoning district and per the attached plan, the applicant is requesting the following. Now, it is an extensive list of variances. However, the majority of these are just being repeated from what was approved as part of Sawgrass. In order to build the specific product in the single family specifically, a lot of these variances are needed and were approved as part of Sawgrass 1. First would be, though, a special use to allow a mixed-use development. The plan obviously before you is not all single-family homes. There are some townhouses within this. With that being said, staff is requesting that we provide the special use permit in order to provide the special use that is necessary to have this mixed-use development. This provides multiple living options for the growing number of residents in the area. All we've heard right now is that the demand is much higher than the current number of houses available. Number 2 would be a variance to reduce the overall lot size and width for a single-family lot. So per the zoning ordinance, a single-family lot must be 9,250 square feet. They're requesting to reduce the minimum lot size to 7,500 square feet. However, their average lot size would be closer to about 8,843 square feet, and they would also be reducing the minimum lot width to 60 feet for the single-family lots. Per Pulte, the market experience has illustrated a need to provide an option for homeowners to purchase slightly smaller lots in an effort to reduce the time and energy spent on yard maintenance. They have seen success with this particular lot size currently in Sawgrass, as well as what they were doing in Naperville with Wagner Farms. Staff is here to support the variance as requested due to the nature of this development and the product being provided. We provide this accessibility benefits and minimal maintenance yards to cater towards desired attributes to the community. Number 3 would be a variance to reduce the minimum front yard setback. We would typically require a 30-foot front yard setback. They are requesting a reduction to 25 feet. Staff is in support of said request. Number 4 would be a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard setback. Per our R3 standards, we do require a 35-foot rear yard setback. and they're requesting to reduce that to 30 feet. Staff is in support of that as this is consistent with what was offered in Sawgrass 1. Number 5 would be a variance to reduce the minimum building separation. Per the zoning ordinance, a development modeled after the R5 single-family residential zoning district, such as the townhouses being proposed at the southwest corner, we would require a minimum building separation ranging from 30 to 60 feet, depending upon the orientation of the townhouse. The applicant is requesting to reduce the building separation for end-to-end separation to a minimum of 20 feet, and for rear-to-rear separation to a minimum of 50 feet throughout the development. Staff supports the variance as requested, subject to the applicant working with staff on increasing the separation between buildings which have any underground utilities, which are required to be maintained by the village, which would be running between those units. Number 6 would be a variance to increase the maximum lot coverage for a single-family lot. Per the zoning ordinance, no single-family detached dwelling shall exceed a lot coverage of 35%. The applicant is requesting an increase from 35 to 45%. Staff supports the variance as requested due to the nature of the development, as well as noting that this is similar to the variance, actually the exact same variance that was requested and approved for Sawgrass 1. Number 7, a variance to decrease the minimum open space for the gross area of the site. Per the zoning ordinance, a minimum area devoted to open space and landscaping shall be equal to 50%. The applicant is requesting a decrease from 50 to 40% for the overall site. Staff is in support of the variance as requested due to the nature of this development, and noting a large portion of the required development is needed for the realignment of Essington Road, and also this would be subject to the development meeting all the village's stormwater management requirements. Number 8, a variance to increase the maximum allowable density. Per the zoning ordinance, the maximum allowable density is 3 dwelling units per acre. The applicant is requesting 4.1 dwelling units per acre for a total of 51 single-family lots and 142 townhouses. Staff supports the variance as requested due to the nature of this mixed use. Number 9, a variance to allow a 2-car garage. Per the zoning ordinance, every detached single-family dwelling unit shall include either a attached or detached garage located on the same lot. What they proposed in the Sawgrass 1 is similar to what they're proposing here. All models within the Meadow series would allow 2-car garages on the condition that the 3-car option is available, as well as a 4-foot extension being provided on every model within the Meadow series except for the Waverly. What that 4-foot extension does is allow for additional storage for things such as the newly toter program that we rolled out so that they can be stored inside and allow, just for different additional storage within inside that garage. In addition, all models within the townhome portion of the development would allow a 2-car garage that includes a 2-foot extension on every model. Pulte believes that this will provide future residents alternatives on the overall design and function of their new home. Staff is here to support the variance as requested. This approval is based upon the condition that 4-foot extension be provided as a standard option on all the Meadows models, except for the Waverly, which base model does exceed the required 530 square feet, as well as a 2-foot extension being provided as a standard option on all the townhouse models. Number 10 would be a variance to decrease the width of a driveway. Per the ordinance, every dwelling unit shall have a garage which provides a driveway having a minimum of 18 feet within 19 feet of the garage door. The applicant is requesting to reduce the width of the driveway to 16 feet for the driveways located within townhome portion of the development. So all the driveways within the single-family portion would meet the 18-foot requirement, and in some instances be larger than that. However, they are requesting that the townhouse be 16 feet, which is the width of the garage door. This is standard for what they build with this particular product. And we wanted to try to utilize as much green space as possible. So when you have these townhouse situations, there's small little grassy areas in between each driveway when you have multiple units. And we, rather than requiring the 18 feet as what would be required, and then essentially getting 2 driveways that would be almost nearly touching or touching, we wanted to try to get as much green space. That way we could plant some shrubs in that area and actually squeeze in parkway trees in other areas. Number 11 will be a variance to increase the size of the development signs. This variance, again, is replicating what was done in the initial phase. We would require that a single-family development is permitted 2 signs not to exceed 60 square feet and 10 feet in height. The applicant is requesting to install 2 signs, one at the Hassard entrance and one at the Essington Road entrance. The proposed sign is a stone monument, 10 feet in height and approximately 80 square feet in area. Staff does support the variance as requested. Number 12 would be a variance to reduce the minimum basement ceiling height. Per the building code, the minimum height for a basement floor to the lowest part of the floor joist would be 8 feet 8 inches, and the lowest beam shall be 7 feet 8 inches. Per the applicant, the ceiling height for the models within the Meadow series, for the basement floor, the lowest part of the floor would be 7 feet 8 inches, and the lowest beam would be 6 feet 6.5 inches. Pulte's market experience has illustrated that a large number of home buyers would prefer to utilize the associated costs and the increased basement ceiling height on other livable and usable space within the home. Staff supports the variance as requested, subject to, with the exception of all the structural support and the HVAC return, and all other equipment and piping would be located between the rafters to increase the finished ceiling height. And I guess I would also note that in review of some of the plans that are already coming in of the houses being purchased in Sawgrass, I have noticed some of the residents that are purchasing the home are spending the additional money to provide the deeper basement. So it is provided as an option. They are simply requesting that they have the ability to offer that to the buyer. Number 13 would be a variance to waive the required interior finish of a residential garage. Per the building code, all interior walls, ceilings in the newly constructed single-family home shall be finished with drywall, taping, sanding, and paintable comparable to the interior walls of the home. Per the applicant, they are proposing to drywall and fire tape the garage walls and illustrated that a finished and painted garage is not a feature that all home buyers prefer and would prefer to spend their money on other associated costs in livable and usable space. Staff supports the variance as requested, subject to this being an optional upgrade to all home buyers that may want a finished garage. So again, if you would like that as an option, they would take care of that for you as part of the build-out. Number 14 would be a variance to reduce the minimum width for the right-of-way. Per the development code, the minimum width of a right-of-way for a local street is 66 feet. The minimum width of a right-of-way for a minor arterial is 100 feet. The applicant is requesting a reduction from 66 to 60 feet for the right-of-way for a local street and 83 for the right-of-way for a minor arterial street. The 83 feet would be increased to the required 100 feet upon development of the vacant parcel to the east. So the reduction to the 83 feet would be in the area where you have undeveloped farmland. Once this farmland is developed, the other portion of that right-of-way would be obtained and the code would be met at that time. But not knowing the time frame here and unable to acquire that right-of-way at this time, they will build it as shown here, and then when that gets developed, that leg would be completed. Staff is in support of this variance as requested to provide consistency with the existing Sawgrass development currently under construction, and noting this to be consistent with the agreed upon realignment of Essington Road. Number 15 would be a variance to reduce the minimum centerline radius for a local street. Per the development code, the minimum centerline turning radius for a local street is 150 feet. The applicant is requesting a centerline radius of 90 feet at a number of locations within the subdivision, as well as 30 feet for a portion of the road within the townhome development. This portion of the road within the townhome development is located along the southwest corner, and it is intended to function as somewhat of a cul-de-sac, guiding traffic along. That's right in this corner right here. So that's where the reduction would take place. So at that point in time, in driving within a subdivision like this, we feel speeds would be very low, and we wouldn't have as many concerns if you were coming to like a four-way stop. Per the development agreement approved as part of the Sawgrass subdivision, the applicant has agreed to realign Essington Road. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped something. Let me go back. Staff does support that variance as requested due to the reference streets being short, low speed, private drives in which the design centerline radius provides the safe vehicular movements and adequate for emergency vehicles. Number 16 would be a variance to waive the requirement to install the public improvements along the portion of Essington Road. Per the development code, all parkway improvements, including trees, sidewalks, sod, and parkway lights, must be provided upon development of the site. Also, when any parcel fronts on or abuts any exterior collector sheet where the subdivision will be served by said street, and where said street has not been improved in accordance with this designation, or is provided in Chapter 30, then the developer will be required to improve the street along the length of the street abutting its parcel in accordance with the standards provided in Chapter 30. That's a lot. Per a development agreement approved as part of the Sawgrass subdivision, the applicant has agreed to realign Essington Road while installing all other required parkway improvements per the approved preliminary plan. However, the applicant is requesting to waive the requirement for trees, sidewalk, and sod, but would install the required street lighting along the east side of Essington Road, which is adjacent to the farmland. So again, all along this portion, they would install all the required improvements. It's this section that they would install the streetlights. However, they wouldn't, and they're requesting relief from the parkway trees, the sod, and the sidewalk, is that would be beyond their property at that point.
So it would be on one side or neither side?
So it would be on the west side of the street, all the improvements as required, but then as you get to this point right here, where it kind of tapers and turns off, they wouldn't provide those improvements on that side until this gets
So
developed.
they'd have pedestrian access to the park and.
Yeah, correct. So you'd have walkways all leading through this Bentgrass Way, which connects to Sawgrass, and then you'd have all your landscape berms and all the required landscaping in those areas. Number 17 would be a variance to remove more than 50% of the trees on site. Per the code, no more than 50% of the existing trees can be removed. Per the applicant, as part of the proposed grading to accommodate this development, the majority of the trees, which are 6 inches in diameter or larger, would have to be removed. Staff supports the variance as requested, subject to the required number of replacement trees being provided per the approved landscape plan, which they have illustrated that they would be providing the required number. Number 18, a variance to increase the fluctuation of a pond. Per Chapter 33, the municipal code requires the maximum fluctuation between normal water level and the 100-year flood event. The water level shall not exceed 3 feet with a maximum fluctuation of 4 feet if the basin slopes are not steeper than 10 to 1, or no steeper, than 10 to 1. The village engineer may provide relief in fluctuation requirements depending upon the site condition. In this instance, there are 2 stormwater detention basins, which I kind of quoted as our water features early on the property. One in the northwest corner and one in the southwest corner. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the basins slopes at 6 to 1 with a maximum fluctuation of 5 feet. This would be similar with what was approved as part of Sawgrass 1 for those ponds as well. Staff supports the variance as requested in order to maximize the aesthetics of these water features along Napier Plainfield and Essington Road. Number 19 would be a variance to reduce the required parkway trees. Per the development code, parkway trees shall be planted a maximum of 40-foot spacing for the total number of trees shall equal or exceed the ratio of 1 tree for every 40 feet of the street frontage. The applicant is requesting to alter this requirement by installing some of the required parkway trees within designated locations within the common areas. In addition, the applicant is proposing to install the required parkway trees along Napier Plainfield Road within the proposed berm per the approved landscape plan. Staff supports the variance as requested due to the nature of the development and to support adequate tree growth. So I'll just kind of, it's a lot, I know it's a little confusing at times. So typically when you have a street that circles a subdivision like this, it's much easier to picture in a single family side of things where nearly every 40 feet you're gonna have a parkway tree. Well, when you have a multifamily situation like this, you obviously have a lot more than one driveway per kind of lot, so to speak. So you're not gonna be able to squeeze in a parkway tree every 40 feet. And if you did try to do it, you're gonna be putting them in between those driveways, and some of the areas are not sufficient to kind of hold the tree growth. It's just gonna be too small of an area. So what we did was work with them in some of these open areas. They're just including more parkway trees so that when you drive down the street, it just doesn't look barren. We wanted to include more greenery that way. And then also for the parkway trees that would be required along Napier Plainfield, as you can see, they really buffered up the berm and added parkway trees that would have been required there along the berm. So this was a kind of an example of the sign that they would be constructing, their typical monument signs. So they'll have one that says Sawgrass, and the other one looks pretty much exactly the same, except it just says Sawgrass Towns. So these are the elevations that are currently under construction and which would be part of the elevations you could choose from as part of those 51 single-family lots within this new section of the development. So this is the Newberry. This is called the Mercer, the Continental, and this is the Waverly, which I believe is the biggest model of these particular series. But you can see just, different materials that you could pick from, the amount of brick versus the amount of siding. Those are all options left up to the home buyer. And then the two townhouses, there's the Ashton and the Bowman, which they're very similar. And I guess if you wanted to get a better idea of it, I think they just are wrapping up in Aurora with the exact same models. That being said, I'm here to recommend approval of a special use permit and, for a plan development with the aforementioned special use and variances, as well as recommending approval of a preliminary development plan and preliminary plat of subdivision for a single-family community development, subject to all staff's comments from the plans dated March 11th, 2022 being addressed, and subject to the review and approval of the co-administrator for public services and development. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman.
And Mayor, before we open it up to public comment, we have Patty Bernhard. She is the applicant representing Pulte. She would like to make just a small presentation really quick as well, if that's possible.
Welcome, Patty. Thank you for being here.
So Patty,
Thank you.
I'm gonna load this up real quick here.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yeah. All right, Patty, can you see that?
I can, thank you.
All right, you just kind of let me know, give me a little nudge and I'll move it along.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
All right, do you want to just go ahead, Patty, introduce yourself, and then Mir, you have to swear her in as well?
Sure, Patty, would you just raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
I do.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Patty Bernhard. I'm with Rosanova and Whitaker. Address 127 Aurora Avenue in Naperville. With me tonight, I have a pretty large team. And Matt, if you can switch to the next slide for me.
Yep.
Thanks. We have Erwin Gama and Matt Brawley with Pulte are there. Chris Morgard and Pete Plushka with SunCon, our engineering firm, are also at the hearing tonight. Greg Sagan with Signature Group, who is our landscape architect, is there, and also Javier Milan, who is our traffic engineer. So we do have a number of witnesses there. If you have any questions, with all our specialties, they will be able to answer those questions for you. You can switch to the next one, thank you. Just wanted to let you know, we were here probably about a year ago for Sawgrass 1 and Sawgrass 2, and we're really excited to be back to bring Sawgrass Towns to the village. When we were there last, we did talk about how we were trying to get that property to the west so that we could do the realignment of Essington Road and bring in some additional product to the village. Pulte was founded in 1950, and since that time has delivered over 750,000 homes in the U.S. They're the nation's and the Chicagoland third largest home builder, active in 49 markets in 26 states, and they have over a 50-year history in the Chicagoland area. If you switch to the next one, Matt. Thank you. They currently have 18 active communities in the Chicagoland area, and just a quick map to show you where those communities are located. Switch to the next one. This was our Sawgrass 1 project, and I just wanted to do a quick update on where we are right now with that. We did check today, and they do have the grading complete on both phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Roads off of Hassert that surround the park are completed, and they expect to have the remaining roads for phase 1 done by the end of this week. Park site, they hope to have completed in the fall, and they did say that their sales are doing really well out here. You can switch to the next one, please. Thank you. We also have a project, Liberty Green, that's to the south of this project. You can see it on this aerial. And that project has also been very successful, which is why Pulte is looking for this project here to be approved. They are doing well in Bolingbrook, and like to come back and bring more projects and more housing opportunities to the village. The project itself, I don't know if you remember last time I was here, we talked about Sawgrass, and the reason why they chose that name, it's a golf resort in Florida. So they're trying to keep with that golf course theme of many of the surrounding communities out there. To the north of the project is a concrete company located in Will County. To the south is vacant land zoned R3 PUD in the village. To the east is R3 PUD, vacant land, and then a single family house. And to the west is a quarry and property in the county zoned agriculture. So, next slide, please. We are seeking annexation, and this is the parcel of property that we're annexing. We are annexing the little farmstead along Naperville Plainfield Road, as well as the large open parcel. You can go to the next one, please. As Matt stated, we're looking for 51 single-family detached meadows homes, and then 142 townhomes. The single-family detached will be on the northern side of the property, and the townhomes on the southern section. Overall density is 4.11 dwelling units per acre. And as Matt stated, part of that is due to that big swath of Essington Road that cuts through this development. Pulte is vacating Essington Road. If you can switch to the next one, Matt, for me. This is our Plata vacation, and you can sort of see from that the roadway that's going to be vacated. When the road is vacated, generally half of the roadway goes to the property on one side and half to the other. And with our Sawgrass project on the north, that purple section is going to go to that Sawgrass property on the north. And then coming south, the purple, there's one section where it's going to go east and west will both go to Pulte, and then as we get further south, part of it will go to the property owner on the east, which is the pink, and the purple will go to Pulte on the west side. Matt and Tom and the client had actually met with the property owners that are on the east and west side of the vacated roadway. Wanted to do that prior to meeting with you tonight so that they would understand what was going on out there. So they were able to do that. Pulte is going to be dedicating 50 feet of right-of-way to the village for Essington Road. And they're also dedicating right-of-way on Naperville Plainfield Road to the county. Can you switch to the next one, please? Thank you. So Matt gave you a great overview of what we're doing here. Whoops. A great overview of the project. There's just a couple things I wanted to mention. One was that this project will have over 18.5 acres of open space. The property, the residents here will be able to use that 4.85 acre park that was dedicated on the north side of, or on the Sawgrass 1 project, and that the park district was preferred that we just have that park there and had gave them a cash in lieu donation. Same thing, cash in lieu donation for the school district. Matt did talk a little bit about the entrances. There are 3 different entrances into the project, and there's also a connection that's going to go to the property to the south, so that eventually when that property develops, there is a connection between the subdivisions. You talked about the stormwater ponds also, which will be blue basin ponds with a nice fountain feature in them. Next one, Matt, please. We also showed the signs. I just wanted to give you a little, just a little update. One of the things he did mention was that there was a sign on Hassett, but the sign on Hassett was for Sawgrass 1.
Right.
So we're going to have one sign here that's going to be on Naperville Plainfield Road. The second sign is going to be on the median going into the townhomes. And then we do have 4 directional piers that will be where Bentgrass Way and Essington Road come together. Just smaller signs that show that there is a connectivity between the 2 subdivisions. Next one. Matt talked a little bit about the meadows. He showed you all the elevations for the meadows, so I'm not going to redo that. I just wanted to mention that there are 4 different models, 5 and 6 elevations of each model, so you can see that there are a lot of different options for home buyers for the Meadows homes that are out there. Bedrooms from 3 to 6 bedrooms, 2-car garage with an option for a 3-car garage. That's okay, you can go to the next one, thanks. This is the Towns of Sawgrass. He did talk again about the square footage of those, the garages, the number of bedrooms, 2 to 4 bedrooms, each with 1 elevation. Next one. And this is the model for the townhomes. Again, Matt did go through all the requests. We're looking for annexation and rezoning to R3 with a special use for the PUD for the mixed use. With the variances, there were a whole list of variances, and we appreciate Matt reading those rather than me having to do it. Most of those variations were variations that were granted as part of our Sawgrass 1 and 2 project, and we're looking for consistency here for the rest of the build out for the single family detached homes. We're also seeking preliminary plat approval, preliminary development plan approval. And again, we would like to thank Village, thank Matt. Matt and Tom have been really helpful whenever we have questions or want to sit down and meet with them. They've been great to work with, and we really, really appreciate that. We've received a positive staff recommendation. We're seeking a positive plan commission recommendation. And again, my team is available if you have any questions. I did have a little trouble hearing commissioners, so if I don't hear your questions, I'm hoping that Matt or one of my team members can let me know what the questions are so we can get them answered for you. Thanks.
Will do. All right, I'm gonna just go back, and what I'll do is I'll probably just pull up the illustrated landscape plan.
Okay. Actually, if you go to the next one, it might be right there. Okay.
Oh, on yours?
That's okay. You're good. There you go.
That'll probably help us for now, and then we can go to an aerial if we need to.
All right, thank you very much, Patty, and thank you, Matt. Thank you for your comments. Certainly appreciate it. Yes, our team does work very hard, and I'm glad to hear that they were able to assist you to get this to us. With that being said, I just have one quick question regarding the entrances and the traffic patterns. Have we done a traffic study and how it's going to affect and the entrances and exits, are they sufficient?
So we do have our traffic engineer there, Javier. Javier, do you want to answer that question, please?
Yeah, he's on his way up.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor B.
And if you just raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
I do.
All right, please sign in and proceed.
So good evening. My name is Javier Milan. I'm a principal with KLOA Incorporated, 9575 West Higgins Road. We were retained to conduct the traffic study for the proposed development. As you're aware, the development will have a full access of Plainfield-Naperville Road, and that is the realignment of Essington Road. In addition to that, they will have a connection to the Sawgrass, or what I'm gonna call the original development of Sawgrass, Also, keep in mind Essington Road connects or extends all the way down to 119th Street. So there's definitely great accessibility to this development and how it's going to spread out the traffic flow. In the traffic study that we conducted, and I believe you were asking about this, we also took into account the traffic to be generated by the currently under construction Sawgrass. So we took that into account, and also being Will County roads, they require us to analyze all the way up to year 2041, assuming a 3% growth per year, which is very aggressive. So all of those things were taken into account. Does that help, or you want me to be more specific in something?
No, that helps. Thank you. Thank you for answering that question. And for the townhomes, as far as mail deliveries and so forth, will there be a standard kiosk for the townhomes, or is it going to be individual home deliveries like the single families?
We got Erwin, he'll have to be sworn in as well. He's Pulte's representative.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
I do.
Thank you.
So in regards to the mailboxes, so we do group them and also do follow by village code. So anything that, Matt and his team would dictate is really what we would follow, and that would be something that we put into our, HOA declarations. And as we get further along into final engineering, even post-closing, that's something that we would coordinate with the village staff on.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any questions from the commission?
The Meadows series at Sawgrass had an option for a third car garage, if I remember correctly. Will that be the same at the Sawgrass Towns or the Meadows series?
So in regards to the meadows, and just to be explicit, not the estates, because that's usually our bigger lots.
The Meadows has an option on
Correct.
Sawgrass for a 3-car garage.
Yeah, so everything that we're offering there would be the exact same in terms of options. The only thing, that really differs is really on the townhomes. So that would be the only difference. So it would be a mirror in terms of product as well as options. So it would be consistent with that.
Okay. Matt, maybe you could help me with this one. Under the Sawgrass, there was a cost to improve Essington Road for $548,000. How will that be used? I would imagine we're looking at much more now.
So yeah, as part of the annexation agreement that we're working on, as well as the development agreement that we did with Sawgrass 1, as we're calling it, that money was earmarked and essentially set aside for the future development of Essington Road. So that money would be released once this agreement were, agreed upon and given back to Pulte to utilize to build the road.
Fine.
Any further questions?
I think, Mike, did you have one? Or?
My question, I think I may have answered it myself as I was considering it, but I was surprised that on the townhome section, there wasn't an entrance onto Plainfield-Naperville Road. Because it looks like it drives the traffic through and around. So I was just surprised that there wasn't a cut there. And there are already road cuts extant at that location at the farmstead.
Right. I don't know if you guys would want to hint at that. Was that something Will County was kind of pushing? Yeah, you might want to, because.
Yeah, in terms of kind of the traffic patterns and our land plan, we did coordinate also with Will County. So we have gone through preliminary engineering with them, submitted to them. So in terms of our proposed entrances, that aligns with, what they see long term. So in terms of number of entrances, that's kind of what dictated it between our
So they're
club.
considering like a highway, like a, major improvement to that road, so they're trying to limit cuts? Or,
They didn't specify to that degree. They've looked at our land plan and have agreed to what we've kind of, planned for our future phase of Sawgrass, but in terms of their long-term planning, I did not confirm that with them.
Tom, do you have anything?
I was just gonna say, the village didn't push for another access. It really creates it limits cut-through traffic that might,
and that's what I was looking at, was it might become a cut-through.
yeah. So now it's very quiet. Basically, it's like a dead end, really, a big cul-de-sac. So, yeah, makes the neighborhood quieter.
I only have one question. Is there an association associated with this
Yeah.
project?
Yes, they will have a active homeowners association that will be in charge of all phases of both sides, Sawgrass 1 and Sawgrass Towns.
Will it be separate, or will it be like one large?
I think it's separate, however, it's all gonna be under kind of one umbrella is what I was kind of imagining, but I'm not sure. They do have two completely separate CCRs, so covenants and restrictions are completely separate, because obviously with the townhouses, there's some different factors. Yeah,
So we will have two separate HOAs. One kind of governs all of the Sawgrass Phase 1 and 2, also incorporates the Meadows series, because that's very similar to what we're proposing and building currently. But there will be, to what Matt was alluding to, some cost-sharing agreements because of the ponds mostly. So we're building, the 2 stormwater basins, but we don't want, just the townhome down on the south to be absorbing the cost for just that particular piece. So we do have some cost-sharing built in. Otherwise, there will be 2 HOA declarations for the 2 different series, or products, that is.
And my last question is on the reduction of the minimum center line radius for the local streets.
Mm-hmm.
Has the safety department or fire department, have they approved that, the reduction in that size?
Yeah, so our fire marshal does review all these plans, and they worked kind of with Pulte on this, and they did approve the proposed development. They were able to do a turning template, essentially allowing a fire truck to get through. So they always have to demonstrate that emergency vehicle can get around the subdivision.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Adding a little bit, it's really more of a matter of semantics. Some people would call that a right turn, not a curve. But just to cover all the bases, if you were to call it a curve instead of a right turn, then it would have that smaller radii.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
One thing that I did notice, so some of those people that live in those townhomes are going to have parties. They're going to have gatherings, and there is, 0 off-street parking. And if they start parking around the common places there where there aren't driveways, it's going to tightly restrict access for things like public safety vehicles, buses, or anything else. So is that all restricted, no parking along those
Want to speak
streets?
to that, because that's in your covenants, isn't it?
Good catch.
Yeah, so in terms of parking, that is something that we regulate in our HOA declaration. So we will specify, where there is allowable parking versus not in this community for that particular reason. That's something that we would address and have addressed it in there. So, as part of our review with Tom and the rest of the village, we'll make sure, if anything in addition to that would be required, such as signage, we would accommodate that.
Does the village enforce that?
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
See, great
Is there
mind.
some public parking in the drawing now?
Public parking, aside from specific kind of off-street parking, is what you're talking about? There's no dedicated spaces at the moment, no, not the way the land plan is set up.
So the street's 2-lane. You're gonna have somebody park on one side of the street, somebody park on the other side of the street, car won't get through.
Or garbage trucks can get through, or fire trucks can get through.
streets are 28 feet wide, which is the same as pretty much all our recent neighborhoods.
The streets are your standards, Bolingbrook's standard
swear you in, sir.
street widths. So if you,
swear you
I'm
in.
sorry, Peter Plusko with SumCon. The streets are designed to your city's standard streets.
One second. Mayor has to swear you in, please, sir.
Mayor, can you swear him in?
Yes, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
Yes.
And you
Thank you.
are,
Peter Plusko with SumCon.
okay.
Yeah, the streets are designed to your city's municipal standards from back curb to back curb. So you were able to park on one side of the street, for example. Here on this side of the street, you wouldn't be able to park because you got driveways, but here you would be able to. And therefore, you would be able to get emergency vehicles on the other side of the parked cars this way.
Okay.
So.
My question is, I'm a party person, I bought a townhouse, there's townhouses across the street from me. So I can't park across the street, I can't park on my side because it's all driveways. Where do my guests park? I have 10 cars, where do I park?
There's a few locations where you can park along the streets here. You got this side of this roadway over here. You got along this side of this roadway over here. You got this side of the roadway over here. You got this side of the roadway over here where you got no driveways. And you got this side of the roadway over here with no driveways as well. And within these locations. So there's some street.
If you have 5 or 6 houses have a party because it's Memorial Day weekend, they're in trouble. There's no parking.
Yeah, I guess to further add to that, I guess if you're a party person, you might want to think about that before you purchase something like this. This is a much more smaller situation, a minimalist.
$400,000,
Yeah, but
can't have a guest?
you can have a guest. We're essentially telling you, though, that if you want 10 guests, you should probably be looking at a single-family house versus a townhouse situation. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. That's why there's options. We have townhouse developments, just like Bluebell Ridge, that's under construction on the other side of town with a very similar variance request. The street isn't getting smaller, it's the right-of-way. So in terms of driving down the street, that's not changing. But I do understand the comment. I guess I'm just more so saying that their covenants and restrictions, their association, that's gonna be something that they have to stress at the time of closing so that they're aware.
So code enforcement basically can handle that?
That's not gonna be code's job.
I'm sorry?
It won't be code's job. I mean, if we get constant complaints, sure, but we're gonna go to their association essentially and say, figure this out.
Okay.
This isn't gonna become Bolingbrook's policing.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the clarification there. Certainly appreciate everybody that came up and answered our questions. Any further questions?
I don't think you have questions from staff, but I know that there's residents here.
Okay, correspondence from the audience. I'm not there in person, so Matt, if you would
Yeah,
kind of
I'm waiting.
guide me through this.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know. We have one on the way up right now. Here, you want me to have the aerial up? Or maybe that? I'm not
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
I do.
Please sign in and state your name and proceed. Thank you.
Tom Weiser, Highway Commissioner, Wheatland Township. The one thing that we're looking at here is the homes that are on the corner of Hassard where the road's going to be vacated. We want to make sure that we have access for any type of bus and/or garbage pickup. If a truck's going to be going down there, we want to make sure they be able to either turn around or drive through that process.
So, Mayor, just so I know, I don't know, I'm gonna try to illustrate what he's referencing. There is a property, that's on the corner of Hassert and Napier Plainfield where Essington kind of juts up currently. And, can you see where I'm zooming into?
I can, yep.
Okay,
Right there.
so this is the property. So essentially, the proposed vacation would stop south of this property. It would not go all the way up to Hassert Boulevard at this time. Obviously, that residence does need to have access. So we're not looking to vacate that portion. And I guess I would just like to note that they essentially have what you would consider almost a full turnabout which is in the right of way of the village of Bolingbrook, on Hassert, or on Essington Road. So we would be more than willing to meet, anybody that needs to go out there and work out a solution, but we think that there's sufficient room for a vehicle to enter Essington and fully turn around.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on that, or?
I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, swear him in? You swear in?
Yeah, he's swearing, we'll have to swear in the resident now.
Yes.
One more to swear in, Mayor.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
Yes, I do.
All right, please sign in.
My name is Dave Knesny. I'm the owner with my wife and my son of the Knesny Family Trust at the corner of 111th and Plainfield Naperville Road right here. I talked to environmental disposal, the driver of the truck that picks up the trash there, and he said they can't back up. They have to have a turning radius for a garbage pickup truck to turn around to go back onto Hassett Boulevard. Also, too, talked to the Plainfield School District, which is out of their area, but they said that they can't go backwards. Any school bus anywhere in the state cannot back up without somebody to guide them there.
That is correct.
Right, it's against the law. So it's a safety concern, first of all.
Safety hazard.
There's no turnaround here because there's the pond here now in this area. And yeah, I have a turnaround in my private driveway here for my garage and my house. Whoops, I didn't touch that, did I? And they said that they would have to have some kind of turnaround here to go out. My son works in Naperville as an auto mechanic, and so the problem with that is he would have to go east on Hassett Boulevard, and then he would have to make a U-turn here by the golf course to go west. Is that a safety? Yeah, I mean, he could get hit, because those cars come flying down that road. There's no one patrols it constantly. I do know that Will County put in the turnabout right here, and I had no problem at the time with that. I said, absolutely no problem. So in order to go north on Plainfield Naper Road into Naperville, he would have to do that illegal U-turn. So I asked the garbage guys from environmental, which is a contract with Wheatland Township for all the people that are unincorporated to have, it was a nice service that they provided to the township, which is really nice. I mean, unless they're in the village of Oswego, Naperville, and I don't know who else, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Aurora, Naperville,
Aurora, too?
Plainfield, Romeoville, that, all the unincorporated areas in Wheatland
okay.
Township.
Okay.
So it's all environmental.
Yeah, so they have the whole contract with the township. We said, well, they said, why don't we put the garbage here? Well, there's a deep ditch here with water in it all the time, draining through the, underneath the Elevations landscape place, all the way down to the Modaf property, which is the concrete place. And Mr. Modaf is here today. And that drains the field that's in the proposed area, because it's always flooded there.
That's about it. I mean, the key thing is, I know from the township perspective, with the, with that is just that, we want to make sure that, the environmental or any, environmental may not be there all the time, but any kind of, service that's provided for garbage pickup.
Emergency too,
or even
fire
emergency,
truck. They
They're
can.
able to pull through there, safely and get to, the part of the unincorporated areas.
Right. I did check our tax record, because we gotta pay our taxes here soon to Will County, because we're unincorporated. School district is 204U, and the fire district is Plainfield. Not Bolingbrook, it's Plainfield. And, so, a school bus definitely cannot, there's nowhere to turn. So it's definitely a safety concern, a big safety concern. Now, if there was a turnaround here, big enough, it'd be okay, but we still access the road from the south, from 119th Street, to go north into our property from Plainfield. And also to leave there to go south to 119th Street. We have, I know the Elevations owner, his name is Drew. I don't know if he's here tonight.
No, he's not. We met with Drew.
Okay. He uses that road, Essington Road, a lot, day and night, especially in the wintertime, because he plows snow. I used to plow snow, so I know you're up all days, hours a day and night when you're doing that. And Tom knows about that, because he's in charge of the roads in Wheaton Township. And then Mr. Modaf has a gate to the back with a culvert. It's closed most of the time, but he does use it once in a while. And that'll cut him off, only to use Plainfield Naperville Road. So actually, this is cutting me off completely. If I can't get garbage disposal, and I can't get a school bus for my son, who probably will get married. His girlfriend is here tonight too. It's inaccessible. It makes the property worthless in the end. Devaluates the property. Any questions from the Plan Commission?
I guess I'd like to add a few things.
Sure.
When they first reached out to us, I actually wanted to meet them on the property and suggested that Elevation meet us there as well so that we could discuss the turnabout situation. I never received a response to that. So the village is more than willing to work on a solution to rectify this problem in terms of a turnaround. But right now, I haven't received any response back yet. So this has been something that's been on the village's plate for quite a long time. If we want to talk about safety, this intersection right here is probably one of the most unsafe intersections in the village of Bolingbrook. You have people constantly making illegal left turns there. You have people coming about doing U-turns there when the light turns red. It's a nightmare. We've had this on our plan for years, and I gotta be honest with you, I notified pretty much everyone and met with everyone well before this advance of this meeting, and I do understand the concerns, and we're more than willing to work with them. However, I think it's unfair to basically state that we're not thinking of those concerns, because I'm more than willing to work on them. So I just wanted to state that.
Okay. Just a little bit of history of the area. There used to be a Matthews Creamery here. They used to harvest ice from the DuPage River back in the 1800s, which is gone. My property was where the horses were, and the property to the west, which is called 111th Street, to Naperville, to 59, Route 59, used to be the blacksmith's warehouse. I did find some horseshoes there, so which is kind of neat. I know, Tom, we were talking about some history of the area. What my lawyer said was he said the only solution he saw was that to let Essington Road be vacated. Can you pull up the map of the existing?
You want this, or you want what's
No,
being proposed?
no, that's perfect, that's perfect. What he was proposing here, I can't pass this out to the, I only have one copy, sorry. Was that to let Plainfield, Essington Road continue to lot 51 and eliminate lot 51. So we can have access to the south to 119th Street. Go through Bent Grass Way, is that what you call it? And then get on Essington south then that way. Either way, north or south. I don't think that's asking too much.
The problem is that doesn't eliminate the concern that the village has. So as long as you maintain access to that road, as long as we have this south access, this problem doesn't go away. So that's the concern, and that was been my concern for 2 or 3 years when we had that initial conversation.
Well, it was only a year.
It's been more than that.
On the record, it's only one.
On record, correct.
Yeah. My wife, you want to talk to someone? Come on up. This is the time.
Can I ask a question in the meantime, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that from his property that it can open up to Naperville Plainfield Road for one instance?
That would be up to them if they wanted to redesign their property.
Is there any way that you can go to Naperville Plainfield Road?
Can't, we have a septic system to the point to the sign. Our septic system would have to be removed and it would make the property, without a septic system, I mean, you don't have
It
sewage.
can't be moved?
No, I mean, the Will County Health Department designed it and built it and approved of it.
There's no other link.
There's no,
Can't be-
there's
can't
no,
be changed.
no, they can't because there's a pond here by the elevations.
That's still in land we own.
I mean, elevations has that retention area to the north, next to our property. Do you want to raise your hand? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mira, could you swear one more resident?
Yes, please. Please raise your right hand.
Yes,
Do you swear to tell the truth at this public hearing?
yes, I do.
State your name.
I did.
Proceed.
I just wanted to say, we
What's
just
your name, Al?
don't want, I'm sorry, my name is Patty Konechny. Oh, I have to sign in too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
not used to,
What I wanted to say is just, we feel like we're being cut off. And I know at the April meeting when we came, back in April, I think it was, the engineer has, or somebody had said, we're not gonna leave you high and dry, because we just feel like we're being cut off. We can only go, when we leave our property, we can only just go right on Hassard. We won't be able, to get to 119th Street. And then that is, I agree with Matt, I mean, we know how bad that intersection is.
right, it used to be called Dead Man's Curve.
Well, it was a bad road from the get-go, then they
Right.
improved it, but it's still, it's a very bad intersection, I agree. But, I just wanted to say, it's just, I just feel like it's getting cut off, we're just gonna be cut off, and how do you, we needed a fire truck to come.
Can't get a fire truck.
The road, if you've been down Essington Road, it's a bad road anyway. It's not that wide. There's no room for a fire truck to actually turn around there.
Right, they can't, I mean,
And school buses, same thing, if our son he has a child and has to have him picked up for school, him or her.
Safety net.
It's just, I know it's just us one little house, but it's our house, it's our home
yeah,
that we've had for the last 40,
yeah.
almost 40 years. so.
And we just renovated a lot
Yeah,
into
so-
it. We put new flooring and
Yeah.
windows and everything into it.
And Matt has been very great,
Yes.
I'll say.
Matt's
Matt
been
has
good.
always been open, whatever. Recently, never knew you wanted to meet us out
I've
there.
been communicating with him. He reached
Yeah.
out to me on your behalf.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
No,
though,
not your husband.
Yeah,
He
Tom.
did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
the township.
okay, good, all right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because we would have met.
No, yeah, it was,
I was taking it as though you didn't
No,
think
I
we would meet,
apologize.
because you know, you've always, I felt like you've always been there to
Appreciate it.
represent us. So, that, I just wanted to, that's what I wanted to say and share. And you guys have always been there, and I appreciate you listening to me. And, we want to make this work too. You know,
Plus, I used to
We're
live
not
in
against the
Bolingbrook. I'm a
development.
former
We think it's great,
resident of
it's
Bolingbrook.
just, we want to make it work so we're not cut off from
Right.
society, doing in life, you
Right.
know.
I mean, you heard of the story of
So-
people, how Chicago's made up of rings, so people from Chicago are moving out this way. So,
So, anyway, it's grown so much. We've been
Right.
here 40 years almost, so,
Yeah, yeah.
in the area, so.
even when the tornado came
Yeah.
through Plainfield.
So, we've seen the growth.
You gotta
Believe
put
me.
our email.
That's fine,
I'm sorry?
if you guys have anything else,
No.
Tom, if you had anything, or.
Well, I
Yeah.
suggest that when Matt and I, we can go out there, we take a look at this area, because
Yeah.
of the traffic issues. See if we can't figure out some way to get, something in here, just like we talked about with the email exchange we had. And try to figure out something that we can
Yeah,
accommodate.
I just wanted me, Tom, and anybody else who needs to go out there, our fire marshal, we can get out there, Plainfield Fire District hasn't been notified, and we haven't received any response from them either.
Oh, they did, we're done.
Yeah, so they're notified, so we can meet anyone, we're open
Okay,
to
sure,
meet
yeah,
anyone
we'll
out
meet.
there.
Yeah, we'll talk.
more
I
than
mean, we
glad to
have
be
no
there,
problem
yeah.
to talk, and work this out.
So how much, so if memory serves,
And Matt, could I just, Matt?
Yeah, Patty, go ahead.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to say is I know that there's gonna be they have to do the right turnout onto Hassard Boulevard. They don't really have to do a U because we're gonna have a road that comes right, where they would wanna make their U. We're gonna have a road that's gonna come in and it's gonna feed down to Bentgrass Way and get them out onto Essington going south or Essington going over to, Naperville Plainfield Road. So it's not like they won't be able to get
So you
back
would come out,
over that
go
way
right,
without
and
making
come
an
back.
illegal U-turn. So if you look at our
Yeah,
our
they go north.
subdivision that we, our original
How would-
subdivision,
how would-
they will be able to get
Come
through
back.
that subdivision to
Right.
get to,
And then you dump back out
Um,
into Essington, come
to
back
that
out to the
street,
light, and then
so.
go north.
Well, see, that's why I said, lot
it'll be
50
a
was-
little ways around, but it's not an impossible thing to do, so.
Hey, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
are you cutting off the right turn when you're going east on Hazard? Are you blocking that off that you can't make that right turn in there anymore?
No, once the street's vacated, we're gonna pretty much, people will figure that out, I think, but no.
So.
I don't know how to block the right
So
turn.
technically, people still can make that right turn and.
That's a
They've been
very
doing it
good
for years,
point,
but
because
they
then they'll be
realize
using our
that
driveway
now
to
they
turn
gotta
around
turn
and
Yeah,
all
they'll
this.
be using our driveway, which Essington Road is in
You're still
poor
gonna have
condition.
people coming up,
we
back
could
around
sign
Exeter,
it.
making a left.
There's
there.
options, we could sign it, this is no different than a cul-de-sac, to be honest with you.
What's the turning radius for garbage pickup or school bus, Matt?
the school bus is longer, it needs about 42 feet, I think.
But there's,
100%. Calvin actually is a school bus driver. I think you might be able to answer that question better than anyone, but when you go into a cul-de-sac, do you know what the turning radius is, Calvin?
Before I go into it, well, if the cul-de-sac is existing, if the cul-de-sac is already existing, I kind of have an idea what the turning radius will be. But it would depend on whether there are cars parked on that cul-de-sac in the way. So a cul-de-sac isn't exactly a cure-all, because people will park any way they want to in a cul-de-sac.
but there's really no cul-de-sac by
no,
it.
I mean,
There now, right.
I mean, if you're asking about a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, is if we
It is
come up to
similar
a
to a
solution to
cul-de-sac.
build a bulb at the end of the vacation until this house
I
is,
see what you're saying.
sold or redeveloped, I'm saying if we propose some type of bulb at the bottom of where Essington vacates to allow for a full turnaround.
If you allow that, yeah, that would work.
So how much right of way is there?
Tom, do you know that?
Either 60 or 66 feet.
So there's sufficient right of way, because, and this is off the top of my head, but you need 40 to 42 feet to turn a school bus. The school bus needs more width than a garbage truck, too.
Right.
So So if you could turn that in 42 feet and you've got 60 feet of right of way, the property exists to accomplish that mission, it would seem. Is that?
And it would depend on the school bus as well, because school buses all come in different sizes. So if you don't require to have a 70-passenger bus make that turn, if you only require maybe a smaller bus, like a Collins or a smaller bus, like a 200 series, they can make an actual smaller turn.
So question, when you mentioned about like if you put this bulb, so you're saying,
Bounce up,
I'm
down.
not touching it.
Yeah, it's not gonna touch it.
So, yeah, so like over here, where that,
No, it would be down at the bottom.
oh, over here.
Yeah.
So the road would end somewhere right around here. And so what I'm saying is if you can somehow just continue this kind of, you already have a half sphere here. If you added a little bit on the other side, you'd be able to fully turn on.
Where's the half sphere? I don't see.
It's not there.
So all this is right of way. I understand that
Okay,
this is your
okay,
driveway,
okay,
but it
yeah,
is
but
right
that's
of way.
right. So right here is
So
where
as
the-
much as it, I know
I
it's
was
your
just
driveway.
confused. I was just confused where the,
Yeah.
so this is where you're saying this,
It's okay. You're autographing it. It's okay.
it's like, look at it here. So that's what would be right
That's what
there.
I mean, we'll look at, you know, we'll look at whatever
So
is
if cars
necessary.
turn in this way, they would be able to turn in.
I don't know what happened here. Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think, how far is that to what road did she say?
So they've just built this entryway right here. So it's from here to there. I mean, I could take a measurement if we needed to.
I don't know, I'm just
Well,
wondering
here, I
about how
got it.
far,
That's a
like,
bad spot.
just curious to
Oh,
know,
you
like,
don't,
how far do you have to really drive just to
Yeah, because
go right on?
to make it legal, you know, I mean, I guess that'd be something to ask the police department.
So, it's not-
It's playing havoc with you.
Hey, Tom, while they're doing that, do you have any suggestions? Okay.
Yeah, they're like right here.
Got one, Tom. That's all you need.
That's about a
Quarter mile?
quarter mile, yeah, that's a quarter mile, right?
You know, the thing is that, you know, anything here, bringing people through here or leaving that any kind of openness, to be blunt, I can't, that's, wouldn't be allowed. I don't think I would let that happen because it's gonna allow people to, you know, we've talked about
Sure.
earlier, cut-throughs.
Cut-throughs, yeah.
Cut through,
Yeah.
right.
So we're gonna cut through here though.
I mean,
Cut-through, that's a street.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
it's a
street.
street,
Yeah.
that's
There'll be
right.
a street there,
public
right?
street.
Yeah,
So
with Sawgrass
that's what I
one.
meant. So we would go through there all the way down. How far down do we have to go then to get to?
19th or
Oh, it goes
No.
straight to,
So
It would go
you'd
to-
actually circle through the subdivision, and then you can come back out of Bentgrass Way, and then remember, this is where Essington curves, so you come back out onto Essington,
Yeah,
and
this
you
is the
can either
road
go
right
north
here.
or south on Neighbor
so
Playfield.
Bentgrass Way, or
It's-
not, what is this street here? That's on it
That's not
right
a
here.
street.
No, it's
So
just
it
a
goes like
property
this.
line.
So you come in, go up and down, and then,
Right.
Out.
so it's,
Yes, you get a scenic
It's like
cross.
you wanna do that every morning going to work? I don't know, just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
It's
Joe,
like, you know.
You wanna talk?
That's right, all right. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
But, you know, if there was like a street that just went down, to, you know,
Right.
get to a street that gets us to over to where the curved Essington would be, I think that would be better, but I don't know, I just, you know,
I mean, I know,
you know, I just feel like we're alone in this.
yeah, and Essington was gravel at one time, and then a few years after that, we moved in back in '84. They came and tarred and chipped it every year, they came, and so build up. And then when Bolingbrook took over, they put a couple inches of asphalt on top of it.
Well,
And since then, they have, cracks all over, because man knows it's in bad condition. So they would give us a bad condition driveway. That's the other
Anyway.
thing, too.
well, I'd like to hear maybe what
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, you-
Polowich has to say. I'm gonna go sit
Yeah, I
down.
just want to,
Yeah,
a
she's got
couple of things. You know, if you put a ball at the bottom, made it like a cul-de-sac, you know, there are many of the smaller existing cul-de-sacs in Bolingbrook that are that same size.
and they've been there for decades. Police, garbage, buses, seem to have no problem in those. I'm thinking the ones in historic Bolingbrook, Andover Court, Park Court, Talcott Court. Off 83rd Street, we've got a couple of cul-de-sacs that don't even have a turnaround at the end. Again, somehow buses and garbage trucks seem to serve them. I don't know how, which is kind of why we would like to meet out here with the actual garbage company, bus company, and discuss it with, them. So, I think that is solvable by meeting with these companies and having a discussion. Regarding the lack of a quick route to the south, everyone's saying illegal U-turns. U-turns actually are legal unless posted otherwise. So, if it's rush hour, maybe you're not comfortable doing that U-turn, you wouldn't want to, but, maybe off-peak hours, you would be comfortable doing that.
One more thing, so talking with my son, and so he's coming from Naperville, down Plainfield Naperville Road, makes a left-hand turn onto Hazard. It's a very quick right-hand turn into, and many times he's almost gotten rear-ended there too.
Yeah.
So, we still have to make that turn there to get to the house, because there's no other entryway into our house, and we probably couldn't cut it off, because that's how our fire truck's gonna get in there if we have a fire, ambulance, all that, right?
Right. Yeah.
They
So we
can't
really
back up unless they have a
we can't-
spotter.
we can't really cut that off. So I just wanted to make note of that too. So it is a safety
It
issue
is,
too,
it's a
because of the
big
fact
safety.
that, with that being such a quick turn, I agree, it is the worst
Yeah.
intersection,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah,
It was,
No one's proposing
Yeah.
cutting off
Right.
that
Yeah.
right turn onto Essington.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, just saying.
Will
yeah.
County wanted to buy 80 feet of my property, and I said, well, that's fine, but what about my septic system? Where are you gonna put it?
Yeah, there's
So
nowhere to
they
put
asked
it.
the health department, he says, there's nowhere else to put it. So they said, that's it, we're just gonna put a turner from going east on Hassett Boulevard from Plainfield Neighbor Road, and to go, east from Essington Road out of there. So,
All right, well,
yeah,
that's all I got to say.
yeah.
Well, maybe meet with you guys. out
Mr.
there or
Modaf
something.
is here?
Try to, I don't know if he wants to say
That
anything.
owns-
just here to support you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a street named after me in Naperville,
All right, I think this.
so, I don't know. Is
Matt, do
there-
we have any other comments?
Is there any other public comments? No.
No, that's it.
And well, thank you very much for your time. We certainly appreciate your comments and your concerns. Like Matt and Mr. Eastman have mentioned, we are committed to working with our neighbors. We have reached out and we will continue to work with you. With that being said, if there are no further correspondence from the audience, may I please entertain a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion,
Tucker?
second.
Chair Coop?
Roll
Vice Chair
call,
Cooper?
please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Coop?
Yes.
Shirley?
Yes, thank you very much. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve the findings of fact for PC 22.24, approval of rezoning from ER to R3 at CP for a planned development with variances, preliminary development plan, preliminary plat of subdivisions, and adoptions of findings of fact, project number 400.22. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Shay.
Motion? Second?
First Shank, second Shea.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you. We have in front of us a rezoning from ER to R3 special use permit for a planned development with variances, preliminary development plan, and preliminary plat of subdivision, Sawgrass Towns, located at 11349 South Napier Plainfield Road, project number 400.22. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion?
Vice Coop first, Shay second. Second, Shay.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk?
Yes.
Commissioner Shay?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a special use permit for a carryout restaurant, Red Star Pizzas at 501 South Lumber Road, Unit 104, project number 409.22. May I have a motion to open this public hearing?
Motion? Flores? Second, Vice Coop.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk?
Yes.
Commissioner Shay?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes. Mr. Carlo, you have the floor.
Thank you. So the applicant is requesting an approval of a special use permit for a carryout restaurant in order to allow for the carryout restaurant at 501 South Weber Road, Unit 104, commonly known as Weber Plaza. The plaza is Zone B2 retail. Access to the development would be available via a right-in, right-out off Weber Road to the southeast and a full access drive off Hassard Boulevard to the north. There is adequate parking for the proposed use. Per the Village Zoning Ordinance, carryout restaurants require a special use permit within the B2 Community Retail District. And the applicant is proposing a carryout and delivery restaurant commonly known as Red Star Pizzas. Per the applicant, their location would act as their main facility in which they would manufacture, freeze, and store their pizzas. Proposed hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 11 to 8 p.m., and Sundays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Staff recommends the approval of this special use permit for a carryout restaurant commonly known as Red Star Pizzas at 501 South Weber Road, Unit 104. This is just an aerial of the site. We've had a few developments going in here, so you should be relatively familiar. So, and the exhibits I think you have in front of you show a little bit of the floor plan and where it's actually going to be located in the development. Thank you, and this is going to conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Carlo. Do you have any questions from the commission?
This is a pretty high-traffic use. Nope, there's a question.
Well,
There's a question.
You trying to run me over, Mir? Jeez.
I'm long distance, so I'm sorry.
That guy. This seems like well, at least, I'm sure that Red Star Pizzas hopes it's a pretty high-traffic use. Is that really what we kind of envisioned for this property?
Right.
So obviously the front building was designed to accommodate retail uses. So there's additional parking in the front area. Also, in speaking with the applicant, it would probably be beneficial to have him give a little history as to how his business operates, but it's not like your typical, I don't want to name any competition, I guess. It's not your typical just pick up pizza place. The majority of his business is, it sounds like he sells online. So he manufactures deep dish pizzas and then sells them online. And then he just wanted the option at this location for people to actually pick up the pizzas. So I don't know, maybe Jim, if you could.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth of this public hearing?
I do. I do. My name is Jim
Please
Pappas.
sign in. State your name and please proceed.
Yes, so we currently manufacture in Schiller Park. We make premium pizzas, flash freeze them, but we would like the option for carry out hot pizzas as well.
So I mean, you don't really, or maybe you do. Do you envision this generating traffic to this locale? And is signage gonna be an issue for you then?
I don't think so. I think I spoke with Rich Curran. He said he had standard signage on the property. Is that what you're referring to?
Okay, so
Yeah.
you would just be using the package that was approved as part of the development?
Correct, correct.
And, yeah, and if they wanted to, I think they do some different graphics, either in the window, or they do have a sign company that, it's kind of like somewhat of an association with this, within this development. If you want signage, you have to go through their contractor so that everything's like uniform, so you don't have one guy using channel letters, one guy using a box frame. They kind of want a nice, clean look. So I believe any of the tenants in the front building can have actual channel letters above their, the space there.
And you said you currently have a location. Do
We,
you have
okay,
walk-in
so,
traffic there?
well, we started, pandemic startup, we started during the pandemic, and we are in a shared kitchen. We sell direct to consumer. We started selling at farmers markets, and we gained some traction. Got into some retail, some hotels, some non-commercial vendors. So primarily frozen is what we want to do. But we would like the option for hot carryout as well, using some delivery platforms.
Okay.
Your drawing looks like it's just a regular, how do you freeze dry them? What equipment do you use for that in here?
Well, we plan on having a walk-in freezer. Not freeze dry, flash freeze.
Flash freeze?
Yeah, so we par bake the crust, we assemble everything cold, package them, freeze them, et cetera.
So it's nothing like heating them up or eating them there, anything like
Primarily carry out.
carry out?
Yes, carry out only.
So you said it one way.
Mhm.
It seems like you're gonna have mostly cooking pizzas and you can get a frozen one if you want it.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct,
So you're cooking them, but you can't get a frozen one.
correct.
I thought.
Any further questions from the
If you open
commission?
it up for one retail, my concern, if you open it up for one retail there with food, then why can't you put a chicken place next door that's carry out?
There would be nothing other than the carryout feature where they'd come back to you, but again, this building was designed to accommodate retail. This is not the industrial buildings. The second and third buildings are more the industrial uses. So in that front building, we have a jujitsu place, we have the indoor golf simulator, we have, I'm sorry?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
But food, it's a different thing, doesn't it?
This is the first food.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, food operations have different parking requirements, so that's the first thing that we look at. Is there sufficient parking? I don't have any concerns in terms of access points. They have full access off Hassard. They have a right-in, right-out off of Weber Road. A food place is gonna go where they feel they can be successful, and the things that I look at are their hours of operation, parking, and traffic flow. And, I don't know, unless you had concerns with this particular location, I don't.
Yeah, before this development was built, we had a couple, 2 or 3 other people come in with concept plans. And every single one pretty much wanted to put a gas station on the corner and 2, 3, 4 fast food with drive-throughs along Weber Road, and then more retail and back. And, the amount of traffic that was gonna generate was gonna cause a problem and require improvements to Hassard and all sorts of things. We're very happy when this development came in because, most of it, about 80% of the square footage is very low traffic, these industrial incubator spaces. The front, you can see it's a narrower building, so it's less square footage. Got, a double row of parking instead of one. So it was intended from the very beginning that would be kind of a retail mix in that front building, but it is much, much less than anything we've seen before, and so we're pretty happy with this.
This will be the first food development in this
Complex.
building, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because we have a motorcycle.
We gotta
They,
cross
they
it.
actually never moved forward, unfortunately.
We approved it.
Yeah, right, correct.
Oh, they never moved forward.
No.
Okay,
Is this the place where they're gonna have that golfing place? as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I see.
No, I'll just be honest with you, there's a restaurant that's very interested in the hard corner, so I may be back before you, before, this one even settles, the ink dries. There's a restaurant that wants the hard corner of that building at Hestard and Weber.
In this
But
same
that's not,
complex?
I guess that's not part of our discussion right now, I'm just throwing that out there, so, we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I'm aware of that as well.
Is it dining?
Yes.
A prelude to future attractions.
In the same complex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I hope the pizza's good.
You know what? It is good, and it's very good. We use all premium ingredients. We source local. Everything's fresh, and we get our sausage from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. I know the pig farmers that we get our sausage from. We use fresh basil, fresh garlic. It's good stuff, and I'll host your next pizza party. How about that?
We'll hold you to that.
He already warned me that they're gonna ask for samples, so my son's on call right now. So, we're a small operation, it's a family business. It is delicious.
Okay.
Any other further questions, Commissioner? Hearing none, is there any correspondence from the audience? Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Wright.
Motion,
First, Commissioner Wright, second, Vice Chair Cooper.
thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shank?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes, thank you. At this point, I'd like a motion to approve the findings of fact for special use permit for a carryout restaurant, Red Star Pizzas, project number 409-2. May I have a motion?
So move, Shay.
Commissioner Shea,
Second.
second.
Who was the first one? What was the first one?
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We have in front of us special use permit for a carryout restaurant, Red Star Pizzas, located at 501 South Weber Road, Unit 104. Project number 409.22. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second?
Commissioner Flores, second. Roll
Cooper?
call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Shank?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes. Thank you and congratulations.
So I live at those soccer
Some
fields.
delicious
So do I.
pizza.
So we all live at
I
soccer.
live right down the street.
So how long in advance do we have to call to pick up?
You guys should be ashamed.
Okay, for the regular agenda, that's all we had. New business, you do have something.
Yes, we have
Yeah,
one
well-
item.
Yep, we have a final plan of subdivision for Carlo Corporate Center West Phase 2A, project number 411.22. May I have a motion to open this public hearing?
So move, Shay.
Well, it's not a public hearing, but it's just a new business item, so
So we don't have to motion now?
I think you can just
All right,
motion and
well,
all in
No, we
favor.
don't have to motion it,
Okay.
if it's just new business then. Mr. Eastman, you have the floor.
Thank you. The applicant is Northern Builders, and they're here to request approval of a final plat of subdivision in order to subdivide one lot of record into one lot of record while creating 4 additional outlots at north, this location is north of Remington Boulevard and west of Dalton Road. So recently, just to give you history, we kind of just approved Phase 2B, which was in this area. And now Phase 2A, they're getting this portion done. They're not gonna, there'll probably be a second 2A, 2A1, 2A2, so to speak, but this is the area that we're talking about tonight. The subject property comprises approximately 24.6 acres, is zoned I-1 Limited Industrial, and is currently part of the Carlo Corporate Center West Phase 2A. The proposed plat of subdivision, which is right, why is your line? would subdivide one lot of record into one lot of record with the creation of these 4 outlots that you have before you. Lot 1 would be approximately 12.689 acres. It's currently vacant and would be created for the future office and distribution center. So this lot 1 is this one right here in the middle there. The newly created lot would be provided access off of Bell Lane via Rodeo Drive. So again, as they develop in a southern, fashion, the berm that was required will continue to be built, as well as Bell Lane. So access would be provided off of Bell Lane for this property. The newly created lot, again, would be provided access off Bell Lane in conjunction with the development of Phase 2B and 2A, and the road would run parallel with those phases I just formally mentioned. Outlot E, which is this large one right here, would be 6.182 acres. It's currently vacant, and this would be created for future stormwater detention purposes. Outlot F, which is the outlot furthest to the east, would be approximately 1.519 acres, currently vacant, and this would be created for the eastern half of the 100-foot wide berm. Outlot G, again, would be 1.519 acres, currently vacant, and would be created for the western half of the 100-foot berm. And now Outlot H is the one on the furthest west. This is approximately 0.911 acres. It's currently vacant and would be created for an additional 30-foot strip of land, which would allow for the required berm to be constructed with the required slope and height per the annexation agreement. The applicant does agree to work with any future residential developer in order to sell or transfer as much of this additional land as possible for future residential development. Now, I would like to point out that Tom can maybe elaborate on this. This is not going to be the midpoint of the berm. This is going to be nearly flat land at that point, so this could be utilized as either additional buffer or potentially backyard. All the outlot listed and said improvements would be maintained by Carlo Corporate Center West. Approximately 1.78 acres would be dedicated to the village of Bolingbrook for Bell Lane. And at this time, we are currently working with the applicant to finalize the size and location of all the required public utility and drainage easements. All those easements for utilities and cross-access would be included prior to the recording of the plat. Staff is here to recommend approval of the final Plata subdivision for Carlo Corporate Center West, Phase 2A, located north of Remington Boulevard and west of Dalton Lane, subject to all staff's comments pertaining to the plan submitted May 6, 2022 being addressed, as well as the approval from the Co-Administrator of Public Services and Development. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Eastman. I believe that we just need a motion to approve this, correct?
Yes, unless there's questions.
Please proceed with any questions.
An extension of project 402.22.
Correct, yeah, this is just the extension of the original annexation agreement that approved Phase 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and then eventually 3, which will be the residential. So yeah, it is.
I see they're clearing land.
Yes, so just an extension. Correct.
The land that's being cleared now is the parcel north of this.
Right, yeah, so this parcel right here, I'm sorry, they have a site development permit for this portion right here that they're getting ready to develop.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it, Mayor. Okay, Mayor, I think that was it.
All right. No further questions, I assume? No correspondence from the audience? So we have in front of us a final plat of subdivision for Carlo Corporate Center, West Phase 2A, project number 411.22. May I have a motion to approve?
So move, Shay.
Second.
Commissioner Shea, second Commissioner Flores. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker?
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk?
Yes.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cooper?
Yes.
Chair Ali?
Yes, thank you very much. Any old business? Hearing none. Any citizens to be heard? I don't see any, but I don't hear any either. I don't have much to report, but welcome to summer, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next meeting. Any commissioners' reports?
Does anyone have any report today?
Nope. You wanna
Hearing none.
mention your little?
Anything from staff? Mr. Eastman, Mr. Carso, Tom?
I just have a quick kind of statement in regards, since we're talking about that 501 South Weber Road. So the way it was approved for that, the building that is furthest east on the intersection, it was granted permitted uses of anything that was in the B2 zoning district. So if in the future, for instance, a sit-down restaurant came, it would be a permitted use as long as they weren't requesting a variance. Now, if that sit-down restaurant wanted extended hours or carryout services, then that would be brought back before you. But I just wanted to clarify that there are a lot of permitted uses within that B2 district that necessarily wouldn't have to come for approval. Just to clarify it.
But do they still have to meet the parking requirement?
Correct.
Parking?
Absolutely. Yes, all the uses would have to meet the parking requirements, the restricted hours of operation, all that would still be in play. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that. With that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Tucker?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much. And Mr. Eastman, thank you for setting me up remotely. Certainly appreciate it.
Very
Have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.
All right, bud, thanks.
Bye.